asked to assist the University of Georgia Police Department in searching an apartment on the 23rd day of February 2024.
Yes.
Could you tell the court what was the address of that location and about what time did you get there and what you did when you got there?
Sure. The address was 2085 South Millage Avenue, the Argo Apartments, apartment D126. I had been in that apartment complex from approximately 11 a.m. Helping do neighborhood canvases. Specifically to search that apartment. We didn't start that until approximately 3:30 in the afternoon.
Tell us a little bit about the canvassing process. What was going on with the canvassing of the apartment and about what time did that start?
I believe it started around 10:30 or 11 a.m. There were many GBI agents on that property, probably somewhere between 40 and 50 of us. We had broken down into smaller groups to speak to each individual apartment occupant to try to get any sort of information we could.
And then at some point you turned your attention to searching the apartment.
Yes.
Prior to searching that apartment, was a search warrant obtained?
Yes, it was.
Tell the court, first of all, in general terms, describe the apartment, D126.
Sure. The apartment was approximately 700 square feet, maybe 20 by 35 feet. It was one room, essentially. It was kind of an open space living area that had 2 beds and a couch with a small closet, a small kitchen in the northwest corner, and a bathroom in the northwest corner.
When you searched the apartment, did you take photographs?
Yes, I did.
And did you also do a crime scene sketch or a sketch of the apartment?
I did.
I'm going to hand you a series of photographs. They are marked for the record as states 195 through 235, with the exception of states 209 through 215 and 225 and 226. Those numbers will not be used. So handing you this stack, and then I'm going to ask you some questions. Okay? Do you recognize those items?
I do, yes.
The 235, can we start with that? What is it?
This is a crime scene sketch I created after searching the apartment.
Is that an accurate sketch of the apartment?
Yes.
So we moved to 235.
No objection.
235 submitted.
And then the remaining of the exhibits that I handed you, what are they?
These are photographs that I took during that search.
And do those photographs fairly and accurately depict the apartment and the items inside the apartment as you saw them on the 23rd day of February 2024?
Yes.
State would move to admit state's exhibits 195 through 234 with the exception of 209 through 215. Also accepting 225 to 226. Those numbers will not be used.
No objection.
Admitted.
And may I request permission to publish?
No.
I've set some gloves in front of you. I don't think you're going to need them. I don't know. Just in case, if you need to use them, go ahead.
Okay.
First of all, in searching the apartment, let me come back and grab those exhibits. And I'll give you these if you might need them.
Okay, thank you.
And it's Starting first with 235, could you tell the court what we're looking at here?
Sure, this is a sketch of the apartment, D126, that I searched that day.
How many beds were in that apartment, and did you note them?
There were 2 queen-size beds along with a sofa.
Okay. Where are they noted for the record? If you could use, there's a pointer. There should be a pointer next to you.
Am I pointing at this TV?
Yes, you
okay. Sure. So this is the west wall. There was a queen-size bed here with the head towards the kitchen. And then there was another queen-size bed located on the south wall here with the head towards the west wall, and a sofa here between the closet area and this bed.
Where's the front door in that image, 235 then?
The front door is here. It's catty-cornered in the apartment.
At the bottom of the
Yes,
the exhibit?
the southwest corner.
States 195, what are we looking at there?
This is the front door of the apartment here. You go into an alcove. There's an apartment on your left and an apartment on your right, and this is the door to D126.
And that's the blue door that we see in States 195 for the record?
Yes.
States 197, what does that depict, and where's that photograph taken from?
So this is taken from the doorway of apartment D126 looking into the apartment. This is the bed located on the west, the head of the bed is located on the west wall there, and this is the front of the apartment to the south.
199.
So this is looking into the apartment. This is the bed located along the west wall with the kitchen area here and the bathroom in the back right corner in the closet
And
area.
was this photograph taken from the perspective where you're actually standing at the front door?
Yes, the door is to my left here.
States 200.
So this, I'm standing in the entrance to the kitchen area, looking back at the front door. This is the south wall of the apartment with the queen size bed on the west wall and the other queen size bed here on the, I'm sorry, yes, that one.
States 200. 202.
Sure, I'm standing in the middle kind of the open living space, and this is the closet located in the apartment.
204.
This is the bathroom located in the northeast corner of the apartment.
206.
That's from inside the bathroom, the tub that was located in that bathroom in the apartment.
208.
That is the kitchen area located in the apartment.
Now, when you were in this apartment, first of all, how long did it take you to search the apartment?
I believe I was there for approximately 8 hours.
Were you looking for, well, what were you looking for?
A number of things that were listed on the search warrant, specific clothing, any sort of blood, any sort of blunt object that could have been used to create Ms. Riley's injuries.
For blood, how did you search for blood?
So we visually search for blood, anything that looks like it may be blood, or even if it doesn't necessarily look that way, if it just looks odd, then we can do tests to see if it is blood.
And did you find any items with blood inside that apartment?
No, we did not.
Did you at some point seize some gloves?
We did.
Tell me about the gloves and where were they and why did you take them?
So in the search of this kitchen area, specifically this left-hand top drawer, there were located 3, I guess what I would describe as utility-type kitchen gloves, plastic in nature, looked like restaurant style, like you would use in a kitchen, gloves.
Showing you 216, what does that depict?
So upon opening the drawer, the gloves were located here. It's kind of dark, but you can see the outline of the gloves there.
Why were those gloves of interest to you?
Earlier in the day, officers had located gloves that had been described as looking sort of like these from a bush at the apartment complex.
Did you seize these gloves?
I did.
And when you seized them, how did you collect them?
They were collected and placed into an evidence bag.
And did you seal it?
Yes, I did.
And was it eventually transported to the Georgia Bureau of Investigation for analysis?
I transported it to the UGA Police Department and turned it over to their evidence personnel, Daniel Saunders.
And when you transported it to him, did you deliver it to him sealed?
Yes, I did.
I'm going to hand you what's been marked. Oh, right here, sorry. As State's Exhibit 244 for the record. Do you recognize 244? If you could look inside that for me.
Would like me to remove it from the
Yes,
bag?
if you could to look at it.
Yes.
Do you recognize those items inside the bag?
Yes.
What are they?
These are the gloves that I collected on the night of the 23rd, excuse me.
The state would move to admit States 240. What is it? Sorry, 244. And request permission.
244 is admitted.
I'm just going to take one of them out.
Okay.
All right, and I'll put the rest back in. Okay. Those are the gloves. At some point, did you observe or see any electronic devices in the apartment?
I did, yes.
How many?
I believe there were 2 tablets and 7 cell phones that we seized.
I want to talk to you specifically about State's Exhibit 219. What does that depict?
So those were 2 cellular devices that we found and seized.
On what bed were these 2 devices? And I'm going to go back to your crime scene sketch for that. So the 2 devices that we see in State's Exhibit 219, going back to your crime scene sketch of 235, what bed were those devices seized from?
So they were on the bed along the west wall here at the head of this bed near the kitchen.
All right, thank you. And while you were searching this apartment, were 2 of the residents who resided inside that apartment outside?
Yes.
Who were those 2 individuals?
Rose Belly, Flores Bello, and Argenis.
If you could adjust your microphone a little bit
so
more
sorry.
closer, yes. Just if you could scoot up a little bit, because
Sure.
when you speak, I'm having a hard time hearing you. And I need to make sure they can hear you over here as well. So those 2 individuals were who?
Rose Belly, Flores Bello, and Argenis Ibarra.
And those individuals were outside.
Yes.
At some point, did you gain permission from them, and did you identify electronic devices that belonged to both of those individuals?
Yes, we did.
Rose Belly and Argenis.
Yes,
And were those devices inside the apartment as well?
they were.
With those devices, what did you do with the 2 devices that belonged to Argenis and Rose Belly?
So I did not have a conversation with Rose Belly, but there were additional agents on scene, Agent Cameron Karate and Special Agent in Charge Trent Hillsman, who had a conversation with Rose Belly and determined which phones belonged to she and Argenis. Those phones were removed from the apartment, and they processed those phones on scene.
And did those 2 give y'all consent to process their phones?
They did.
Were they waiting for you all to finish your search?
Yes.
So how long were they waiting for you? Like how long? You told us you were there 8 hours, 9 hours?
Yes, I was there approximately 8 hours from 3:30 in the afternoon till 11:30 at night.
At some point, did Rosebelly identify 2 devices that belonged to Jose?
Yes.
And did you seize those 2 devices?
Yes, we did.
Are those 2 devices the 2 devices that we saw on the bed in the photograph that
They
we've just
are.
shown?
Yes.
Well, there won't be a confrontation issue because she's going to be our next witness. And I would offer that only for, to explain the officer's conduct about why she seized the device, but any confrontation issue will be cleared up by the next witness, or will be cured by the next witness.
So I will overrule the objection at this time. If it needs to be made later, I'll reconsider.
Yes, sir. Handing you now what has been marked as State's Exhibits 245 and 246. Ask that you recognize those 2 devices, or do you recognize those items?
I do, yes.
What are 245 and 246?
These are the cell phones that were located on that bed on the west wall of the apartment.
And are those the cell phones that you seized that evening?
Yes.
What did you tell us about the seizure of those 2 devices? But before I do that, I want to move to admit 245 and 246.
Your Honor, we're still maintaining our objections that are the direct motion to suppress, but subject to those objections, we don't have any numbers.
Those objections are noted, and I will admit it. 245, 246.
Tell us about the seizure of 245 and 246, these 2 cell phones.
So they were located, like I said earlier, on the bed along the west wall. We believed that exigent circumstances existed to seize those, even though they were not specifically written within the search warrant. We believed we would be covered because we would not be searching those at that time. We knew that search warrants would be obtained later to search those. We were fearful that had we left them, the phones could be destroyed in any type of manner. We were also worried about the evidence located on those phones possibly being disturbed. I'm sorry, my word just left me, but being able to be wiped should we not take those with us.
Could you put those 2 phones in airplane mode? Were you able to do that?
So we were not able to put them in airplane mode. We did not have access to them. We didn't know the codes to them and were not able to get into them.
And so if you were not able to get into them to put them in airplane mode, were you able to search those phones at all?
No.
How much clothing did you look through in that apartment?
There was a lot of clothing.
And did you look at all of it?
Yes.
And were you looking for specific items?
We were looking for specific items.
I'm going to show you an exhibit that I will link up with FBI agent. I'm going to show you what's been marked for identification purposes as State's Exhibit 247. Do you recognize the person and those items inside that exhibit?
Yes.
Okay. Who do you recognize in that exhibit?
So that is Mr. Ibarra.
Okay. And then Mr. Ibarra in this courtroom?
Jose, yes.
Yeah,
I'm
okay,
sorry,
thank you.
Jose Ibarra.
And those items that you see in that image, were you looking for those items that evening in apartment D26?
Yes, we were.
Okay. I would move to admit 247, and I'll link it up with the next second witness.
Your Honor, my understanding is that is a photo that's derived from the forensic review of the phone. So I'm not certain. This witness says she wasn't able to search the phone. I don't think she's the proper witness to lay the foundation for it.
Well, that's why I'm going to complete the loop with Special Agent Hipkiss, but she's at least identified the defendant and the clothing that she was looking for. So I believe it's a proper thing to ask her about, and then I can, when Special Agent Hipkiss testifies, I can complete the loop of this photo.
Well, I will reconsider the admissibility once we hear the further testimony from another witness.
Thank you.
So I'm not admitting it at this time.
Okay. The items that we see in States 247, Jose Ibarra carrying and wearing, did you ever find those items inside your search of the apartment D126?
No, we did not.
I believe that's it, Your Honor. I'll pass the case.
May I cross-examine?
Yes, Your Honor. Good morning.
Good morning.
Before you conducted a search of the apartment, you were involved in the neighborhood canvass.
I was.
And without telling me what you said, you spoke with an individual named Jennifer Slonaker.
Yes.
And while you were speaking to Ms. Slonaker, another individual kind of voluntarily joined the conversation.
Correct.
And that individual was Stephanie Slayton.
Correct.
And while you were speaking with Ms. Slayton, you were up on the second floor balcony of building D in the apartment complex.
Yes.
So you were a balcony above where the police had secured the apartment residents below.
Yes.
And you and Ms. Slayton and Ms. Slonaker could occasionally hear snippets of conversation from below.
Yes.
Okay. Ms. Slayton was acting very fearful, was she not?
Yes.
And she told you that she was fearful of...
Objection, hearsay.
Your Honor, this is not hearsay because we're not using it for the truth of the matter asserted, but for their state of mind.
Whose state of mind? Not of the declarant who's not present.
It's for the effect on the listener, Ms. Slayton, her state of mind.
But that Ms. Slayton is not present, so that makes it hearsay and not relevant what her state of mind is. Until they get the declarant here, that is hearsay.
Both?
Sustain the objection.
Okay, Your Honor, just one moment. Your Honor, I'll proffer that we are calling Ms. Slayton. She's under subpoena. We'll be here tomorrow. This is primarily for efficiency's sake. I just want to get some demeanor testimony and statements from Ms. Agent Mormon so we don't have to recall her.
The demeanor questions are appropriate. Anything that Ms. Slayton said, I maintain is hearsay. If Ms. Slayton takes a stand and denies saying those things, then they will have to recall this witness. But that's just that does not make the statements admissible. They have to call the declarant first.
The objection is still overruled, but I agree that demeanor questions are appropriate.
Okay. So after Ms. Slayton acted fearful, you ended up moving her across the street.
No, we did not move her across the street. We finished our interview with her there and then conducted a secondary interview when we found her across the street at the gas station.
And this was across the street from the apartment complex?
Yes.
And it was later that same morning?
Yes.
When, now let's turn into the search of the apartment. Basically, all of the apartment is one room, right?
Essentially barring the bathroom.
And you would agree with me that it was pretty messy when you arrived.
Fairly.
There were piles of clothes everywhere.
Yes.
The apartment only had one closet.
Correct.
And the closet was partially filled with some boxes and other detritus.
Correct.
Okay. And you spent 8 hours, you said, searching the apartment?
Yes.
At what time into that 8 hours did you notice the cell phones on the bed?
I guess we noticed them. I started at the front door with the search. We started at the end of the bed on the right-hand side as you walk in the door. And we were going through there were several pieces of luggage that were filled with clothing that we were going through. So it wasn't until I finished the search of all those clothes that we ran into the first cell phones on the floor next to that bed.
And what, was that an hour into your search? Can you estimate how long that was?
I would have to look at the timestamps on my photographs to be for sure, but it may be an hour or two.
Okay. And then you mentioned that you did some tests for blood. Can you explain what those tests are?
Sure. So it's a presumptive blood test. So it's a phenolphthalein presumptive blood test. There was only one area in the apartment that I questioned that looked like it could possibly be blood. When you take a sample of that substance, you add different chemicals to it, and if it were to show pink, then it confirms that it is an area of blood, excuse me. And then if it does not turn pink, then it's not, and it did not.
Now, in the apartment, you would agree with me that there were 3 units somebody could sleep on.
Sure.
There was the couch on
And
the
2
right
beds.
side, and 2
Yes.
beds. And you were aware that there were 5 residents that lived in that house or apartment.
It's only aware of 4.
Okay. Were you aware that the queen side bed on the left side of the apartment was being shared?
On the left, are you talking about the west wall?
Yes.
Where we found the phones?
Yes.
I did not know if it was being shared.
No further questions.
Briefly, you had the opportunity to interview Miss Layton that morning, correct?
I did.
And without telling us anything that she said, did you observe her demeanor?
Yes.
Were you able to get close enough to her to see if you could smell or determine if she was under the influence of alcohol?
Yes.
What was your impression of her, of being, whether she was under the influence of alcohol at the time that you were talking to her?
I would say that she was. She smelled very strongly of alcohol.
And your test for blood, you did only one presumptive test in the apartment.
Yes.
Is the first part of the process a visual examination?
Yes.
Why is that?
Because what you see tells you information that you need.
So is there any way for you to like spray the entire apartment with something to see if there's blood, or do you actually look for blood first and then test it if you suspect it?
We actually look for it first.
With your eyes? That's all I have. Thank you, Your Honor.
Anything else, Ms. Dutch?
No, Your Honor.
Should she be excused?
Yes, sir.
No objection. Subject to recall for the Miss Layton's testimony.
Take direction if you would.